I think it is very important for us to always focus on, start with the end in mind. What needs to be changed? And then to, of course, give a timeline.
How can women leaders, right, overcome?
They need to have self-belief. Very, very important. Recognize that, in their own inherent value. Ensure that they have a strong network of perhaps mentors, family, go back to your core values. It's very important. Women can enhance their confidence in terms of acknowledging their own achievement.
That networking in the same industry or networking in other industries as well.
So very meaningful collaborations and partnerships, and have a win-win, relationship.
Welcome to the Summit series of Voices of Courage Asia, where we celebrate leaders, changemakers, and visionaries who embody courage and drive transformative impact. I'm your host, Has, and in this special series, we explore stories of resilience, leadership, and the bold steps taken to create meaningful impact. Today's guest is a career development leader dedicated to empowering individuals to succeed. She leads student life, career services, and industry partnerships at PSB Academy, bridging education and industry to shape future-ready graduates. It is my pleasure to welcome Falilah Mohamed to the show. Falilah, thank you for being here and welcome. And how are you today?
I'm good, Has. Thank you so much for having me here.
It is my pleasure, and I am just so inspired by what you do here. So this is my fourth time interviewing someone here at PSB Academy, and I must say, thank you for doing what you're doing. The students here are amazing.
That's great to hear.
Wonderful. And let's begin, shall we?
Sure.
Let's start with your personal journey and leadership. So what does inspiring courage for transformative leadership mean to you personally?
Well, inspiring courage for transformative leadership to me is really about having the boldness to initiate meaningful conversations. What kind of meaningful conversations? Really conversations that create changes in organization that will ultimately challenge the status quo and also create the meaningful changes for the organization that eventually benefit the stakeholders.
Wow. Love that. And especially when you're leading so many youth into the future, right? For the future generation. I love this thing that what you said about challenging the status quo. I'm just curious personally, how did you come to that attitude to challenge the status quo?
Well, change is the only thing that's constant, right? So when change is the only thing that's constant, then you really need to be adaptive to whatever is happening out there in the environment so that you don't fall behind, or at the same time that you're also able to create an impact by going along with what are the changes that's happening. Preempting it in the first place would be great, and then eventually achieving whatever you intended as your outcome.
Wow, love that. Change is the only thing that is constant now. If there's one thing that we learned over COVID, that is it.
Oh, yes. You said it.
Everything just changed,
Exactly.
right? And we just need to step up. And I
Yes.
love that. Thank you for sharing that nugget. And I'm
welcome.
sure a lot of the viewers here will resonate, relate, and even think about the time of how much changes they have made and succeeded. So thank you for the courage in sharing that as well.
Sure.
So I would also now like to hear from you. Can you share a pivotal moment when courage transformed how you lead or approach the challenges?
I think a pivotal moment in my journey was deciding to pursue a part-time degree, master's degree, while managing a full-time career, as well as being a mother to two teenage girls and looking after my late mom, who actually had dementia. So a lot of time it was very challenging for me to balance all these responsibilities. And, there were times that I actually questioned if I could handle it all. But I think having the courage to embrace the challenges, because I wanted to pursue, my aspirations to get this additional knowledge to keep up with what's necessary in order to manage at work. So I think it is very, very important that courage, I played a big part in how I managed to eventually get my master's degree. Yeah.
Wow, what an inspiring story, you know. And right now, I'm sure there are viewers out there who can relate, taking care of your children, now being teenagers, and your mom at that time. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes,
And this is what it's all about, sharing stories,
Mm.
not about just achievements, but real life stories that impact us, which others can relate to. So thank you so much.
Yes,
All
welcome.
right, so let's talk about courage in leadership. How do you encourage and cultivate courage in people or teams that you lead?
I believe in creating an environment where the members actually feel very safe to express their ideas and also to take calculated risks. And encouraging this open communication and fostering a culture whereby they view the mistakes as learning opportunities rather than setback is very, very important. So, as a leader, it's very important for you to create that space in whichever teams that you're actually leading and whichever culture they are actually working on. They need to take these mistakes as setbacks for growth. And basically it is part of growth, and recognizing it actually allows them to embrace the changes as well that they're going to make.
Wow, and I love that, you know, giving them space. I have a curious question because in my journey of doing some corporate trainings, people always say that we don't have time, you know, we have to meet certain timelines and target. In your mind or in your experience, how do one create space to allow people who have made mistakes in the team? Could you just share one example?
Sure. I think it is very important for us to always focus on, start with the end in mind. Can I say that? And every time when you want perhaps a colleague to actually learn from a mistake, then you first need to identify what are you trying to achieve at the end of the day. And what is it in that process of him or her doing what she's doing is kind of hindering that process. What needs to be changed? And then to, of course, give a timeline, that is decent enough for this person to achieve his or her goals, and then to basically be there to guide, but not really to kind of do it for him or her. So that allows that person to actually grow and then to learn from this experience. Yeah.
Wow, I think
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful journey for someone in the team to experience that because they are literally being guided and mentored. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
And, you know, that's what we want to look forward to in other leaders as well, in organizations. And how can women leaders, right, overcome the fear of failure to lead with courage and purpose?
Well, I think women leaders can definitely overcome fear. They need to have self-belief. Very, very important. And they need to recognize that, in their own inherent value that they bring to people, that they bring to communities, to organizations. That's very important. And they need to reframe failure as a learning experience, like what I shared earlier, right? And they need to also ensure that they have a strong network of perhaps mentors, family, people who are there to rally for them, to give them that opportunities as well as support for them to achieve whatever they want to achieve. So if they make sure that they have all these supporting factors in play, then it kind of reduces the fear that they will have naturally leading with courage. Yeah.
Wow. You know, I'm just curious because I love that you mentioned mentors and then you mentioned families. You know, I've also encountered women who just feel so alone. What advice would you give, like, let's say, a woman leader? Even leaders can feel so alone sometimes. What would be your advice to them? What is the first step? If, like, sometimes you just get so overwhelmed. I've literally met leaders, I'm so alone, I have no one to talk to. And then my mind's like, no one? Yeah. Well, let's hear from you. What would you suggest?
I would suggest that you always go back to your core values. It's very important because it kind of gives you, the center or the core of whatever you're doing, no matter how, busy your time gets or how tough a period gets. So going back to your core values will be your guiding principle. And then it's also very vital for them to remain authentic at all time and lead with integrity. Okay. And especially when faced with difficult choices.
Yes.
So it will then, allow you to stay connected to your purpose and also keep reminding of the reasons why you chose to lead. And I think that always brings you back to what you need to do and kind of gives you that direction of what's next for you.
Wow, love that. I mean, always remind yourself going back to your core. And why do you want to lead? So does it look like something where, like sometimes maybe have a poster in your room, or what does it look like? Is it journaling? I mean, of course, there are other spiritual
Yes.
ways that you can do it.
Yes.
What would you say? Because, like
Yes.
in such an overwhelming, fast moving, paced life, right?
Yes.
What is the one thing that they can do to remind themselves to connect with their core values?
Well, personally, what I do is I have a inspirational poster at my desk,
Ah,
which I bought on my first day at work.
wow.
I wouldn't say how many years ago,
I was just
but
going to ask.
but right now it's still at my desk,
Wow.
and it talks about creating destiny, and then it's not something to be imagined; it's something to be sought after.
Aw.
So it just stares at me, and of course it has a very calm, beautiful picture of water and sea, and it kind of always brings me back to when I started, what experiences I went through, and then how I overcame them, and what still keeps me going. So it's a
Wow.
constant reminder for me to keep going. So that's my own personal experience.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So now we know a little bit more about you. And I love that because a visual anchor, right? Because there's different kinds of anchor for everyone. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So now let's move on to impact and transformation. What is your advice for leaders striving to make an impact while staying true to their values?
I think women can enhance their confidence, right? In terms of acknowledging their own achievements, as well as recognizing, all the unique perspectives that they bring to the table. I think it's also important for them to seek opportunities for professional development, and then as well as increase in their networking, which then broaden their perspectives at all time. And then it's important for them not to actually to challenge their self-limiting beliefs if they do have any, and all the time surround themselves with the right knowledge, the right people, and the right support group. I think that will actually help them to pursue whatever kind of leadership opportunities that they want to pursue.
There's so many rich nuggets in there. I'm just going to take one for example. You say networking, right? So would you say that networking in the same industry or networking in other industries as well, so that you can have diverse perspective? Which one would you recommend? Because now there's networking everywhere.
That's right.
Right?
Has.
So in order for a leader to be impactful, right, and to perhaps keep up with trends or whatever that may be, right, to stay to their core values, how would you advise them? They say networking, where should I go? Do you got any recommendations? What would you say?
I think networking is very different for every individual, and it serves different purposes. So it's very important to identify, what is the group that you want to establish a network with, and what purpose is it going to actually give you as a leader, as well as your team. So that itself will then identify which industries you should go into to kind of network and broaden your contacts in there. It need not necessarily be only in the industry that you're working at. And right now, we know that it's a very, very connected world. And it's very important for us to have the right contacts in the right industries, so as to be able to have very meaningful collaborations and partnerships and have a win-win, relationship. So
Wonderful.
these three things are guiding principles with regards to what you need to do or who can you actually network with. That was what I would say.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. And that's why we're here,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Collaborating with diverse industries. And I love that. Great. Now let's move on. I have another question for you. How can women become more confident and courageous in pursuing leadership opportunities?
I would say that, grab it when it comes, all right, and learn, because everybody, gets opportunities at different times in their careers. It is very important for you to first and foremost be willing to be coached. You need to unlearn sometimes in order for you to relearn, and you need to also be always having a positive attitude. I think that will really help in terms of embracing new knowledge, taking on new responsibilities, accepting failures as learning stones, and for you eventually to be able to build your achievements.
I just love it. You mentioned just grab it, right? Because but what if there's so much to think about, decision making. There is this opportunity, but there's also opportunity cost. And, what would you advise when someone is at that level of thinking? What would you say?
I think first and foremost, if you are given an opportunity to lead, you need to really know if you have a good mentor. And that mentor can be your boss or your future boss, or could even be an external mentor who's been guiding you throughout your career. So if you actually have that, and then that kind of will set the right tone in terms of the guidance you're going to have to succeed. That increases the potential of you actually making it in this new role. And if a new opportunity is actually given to you, trust me, your whoever is offering you that opportunity knows that you have the potential. It always starts with potential, just like how you hire a new person into your organization. Whether the person succeeds or not is always a question until you actually see the real performance, and that only comes with on-the-job training. Nobody actually comes with all the knowledge, so we need to understand that we are humans and we are here to learn, and we need to be able to have the strong support system. So if you do have that, then I would say you should grab it, because then you have the right support system in play.
Beautiful. And I'm sure many of the viewers here can relate, because sometimes we look at the opportunities, but we don't look at the other side, which you mentioned. It's really about trust that person see your value as well. We don't look at that side, right? Yes. And also, like, with that belief in you, which means to say you need to recheck your own self-belief, which you mentioned earlier. Right. Thank you so much, Falilah. That is so inspiring, and I'm just so encouraged by what you can do and what you have done for the students and the future leaders, leading the next generation. And right now, I'm just honored to say that we are delighted to announce our partnership with PSB Academy, where we collaborate closely, enabling students to learn from our esteemed guests like yourself. Right? So I have with me a student representative who will be engaging in a conversation with you. Now, welcome to the show. Could you please introduce yourself, Lori, and share what motivated you to enroll in PSB Academy?
Hello, I'm Lori. So I think PSB has a lot of professional facilities, so I study here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I have a question for you. It's a curious question, all right? So in your journey with the PSB Academy, what is your favorite part of your journey so far?
I think maybe to do my own project or like podcast with my teammates, a good memory for me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What do you like best about doing the project with your teammate?
I think it's recording podcast. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I can see that you guys are having fun, and I'm having fun too. And I think that's the whole spirit of it, right? To empower ourselves with the energy while we're having fun doing it. So thank you so much. And over to you with your questions.
Yeah. The first question is, what role do you think education plays in empowering women?
Well, especially in Singapore, I think education plays a very crucial role in empowering women by providing them with the skills, the necessary knowledge and confidence for them to pursue very diverse careers, and also to make very informed decisions about their life.
And the second question is, how can we encourage more women to pursue careers in fields where they are underrepresented?
Well, I think women may be underrepresented in some fields like STEM, engineering, for example, IT, information technology, or maybe even finance. It is important for women especially to have good role models, mentorship, as I shared earlier. And I think it is also important to create earlier educational awareness about these fields and how they can also play a very important part, in developing these particular fields, especially like STEM fields. And importantly, I think workplace flexibility will really allow more women to come into the workforce. Women play multiple roles as a career women, as full-time working mothers, caregivers, and I think, or even students at the same time they're pursuing their education. So workplace flexibility is another thing that will really allow them. And I think the third part is, of course, creating a very supportive ecosystem at home, at work, and in the environment and the industry as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Luri. And thank you so much, Falilah, once
Thank you,
again.
Has.
So, for the viewers out there, if you found inspiration in today's episode, I encourage you to take action. Whether it's stepping out of your comfort zone, embracing new opportunities, or supporting a cause that drives positive change. Stay connected with us by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. And if you'd like to connect with Falilah, our esteemed guest today, check out the links in the episode description. Now, this has been another powerful episode of the Summit series on Voices of Courage Asia, where we inspire courage for transformative impact. Until next time, keep leading with courage and making a difference in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Has.